What's up, guys? This is a quick interface overview for Foundry. This is version 9. I know version 10 is coming out fairly soon. Some things may change, but I don't think the main interface is going to change. So when I first start up the server or the server's been running, you might see this screen when you come in, and I will share with you the password if otherwise, if this is your own server, you would know the password. All right, and we're going to log in, and you're going to see this screen. For this screen, the only thing you really have to worry about is this Games World tab. These other ones are like the game systems, modules, configuration, and if we have any updates, we're not going to worry about those. We're just going to have the worlds. We could create a new world for every time that we create a new campaign. Or if you run several different campaigns, you could create a new world for each one. For our purpose, we're going to be using this Murder Hobos world because that's where we're going to be running our games from. So if you get to this, log in and get to this screen, we're just going to click Launch World. And here we're going to go and choose Game Master because we're going to log in to set that up. We're going to go over the Game Master stuff. And I'm going to set a password to that just to protect ourselves. Takes a minute for it to load up, especially the first time. So I'm basically going to go over just what things are, and then I will do videos, separate videos on more in detail things for a lot of these. So to start with, we're going to look at the toolbar over here on the left hand side. As a player, you're probably familiar with the first 4 of these. First ones, you have the different controls, and then when you select them, the second column changes based on that. For these first 4, I'm not going to really go over because you know them. So the first thing here that's new is going to be the walls, the wall controls. We're going to have the select walls if you want to select one, or you can drag and select multiple walls. This will draw regular walls. This draws terrain walls, different types of walls that you can draw. Doors, secret doors. These 2 buttons, I wouldn't, force snap to grid, I usually turn that off. That's on, that's off. And then you can delete all the walls. But again, I wouldn't really bother with those 2. This is the lighting controls. This one here is going to make it to where you draw new lights. You can switch the scene. We'll come over here to Alley to show here. The scene, you can switch from daytime, it will like the ambient light, right, or nighttime. If you click this, it takes a second, and you'll see here the map will start to get darker and darker. Actually, I think I turned off lighting on this. No, I didn't. Oh, delete that light source. So you can see down here, it's darker and darker. If I click daytime again, this that has no light set up gets lighter. And it basically, if you have a map like this city streets here, let's make sure, turn on lighting for that. So you have the city streets map, and you want it to be like by default daytime, and the map looks like it's daytime for the streets. But say you're like, oh, now it's nighttime and I want everything to be darker. You can click that and it will tint the map darker. It restricts vision to whatever vision those tokens have. You can see that a lot better now. And then if I click, this token is like, oh, it's in the dark. She can't see anything. She better light a torch, and then she could see. This map has no walls on it, so we're not going to see, have any lighting effects on that. But that's basically what those do: daytime, nighttime transitions. This will reset fog of war to reset that. These two things I don't mess with. This is the delimiters. It just kind of shows you where the bright and dim light sources are. And this is toggle GM vision. I can't seem to get it to do much for me. So you'll see like that blue, light it shows, tints it blue. Pretty much hasn't really been very useful to me. This will delete all the lights on the scene and reset everything. This one here is the music. If you want to add sounds, um, it's the sound. Sorry, not music. If you want to add a sound, like maybe there's a crowd over here, and you have a sound file that you want to add, crowd sound to it. This will let you preview it. If you toggle it on, it previews, plays the sounds that are on the scene without having tokens. You can delete all the sounds. This is the journal notes tab. Probably not going to really use it. This toggle for notes display on or off. If you have notes on the map, you can put them on there, and it will show them up. If you uncheck it and turn them off, delete all the notes. These two are for a quest log. If we're going to do a longer, medium to longer campaign, this is for an add-on. You can add quests and then put in details and type in descriptions and objectives. Maybe there's multiple objectives to a certain quest. You can manage it, make it available, and then the players can see their quest log in here and see, which ones are in progress, which ones they've completed or failed or whatever. And then here's the simple fog one. You have by default, you have to enable it. That turns it on or off. By default for a scene, it's off. These are the different modes for revealing or hiding. The paintbrush, we'll turn it on. The paintbrush is going to just brush. You can toggle that to hide or reveal. You can even do it in the middle so it only semi-reveals it or semi-hides it. It won't be quite as dark. Usually I just go one way or the other. And then brush size, if you want it real big, if you want it real small. Usually, something like that. This one is square, so you just click and drag, and whatever squares you go over on the grid, it will reveal like that. You can do it like that. This one is a drawing. You click one at a time, and then now you can do different shapes that you want. And then when you're done and you want to join it, you have to click that orange square, and it will do that. This is a square. It will just do a square, circle. You just click and drag. This is the settings. The only thing I really play with in here is maybe the color. If I want to, sometimes I'll probably, I'll do it red a lot, and maybe adjust the ambience. So that way it's a little bit clear for me to see. Sometimes the dark, dark and light doesn't show as much. This, or if I make it like yellow or green, it will stand out to me. The players aren't going to see this color. They're going to see black. But as a DM, that kind of stands out. You can even fade it a bit, but the color stands out. Make it a color that the map doesn't have. You can also do an overlay image. Let's go back up to the top here. Let's just say we want to give it that image. I haven't really used that. So it'd make an image over it. So you can have a big image that's like fog or like literal fog or something else, a logo or something if you wanted to, and it will put that up there. But by default, I just don't do that. How do I undo that now? Image, it will screw it up. So you can delete everything there, reset it. So that's like the image that you'll see over the of thing. So that's that menu here. On the top here, you're going to see uh, the scenes. Now, this is like the navigation bar for the scenes. Doesn't mean it's going to have all the scenes, but it's going to have, all the ones that are, you can toggle them on or off. So say like Alley, if I don't want to use Alley anymore, Docs, like this one here, I'm not going to use it for the adventure I'm prepping. So I'm going to right click and say toggle navigation, takes that off of there. When I'm setting up a scene, I will often do that. Down here at the bottom is like a macro bar. If you have, say we have our monster, our kobold that, has an attack, a dagger or a sting, what I'll usually do is I'll just drag this down here, these two attacks down here. So I don't have to keep opening up the sheet to click on, to click those things and use them. I can just click here and it rolls the attack for me. And they're there. And then when I'm done using that monster, I'll usually just come in here and say delete macro, clear them off. I leave these ones over here on because those are the show the name and HP bars. It will do that for all the tokens and then hide them. So if you wanted to, show or hide those, you can do so that way. Now over here on the right, you have the chat bar, your combat encounter. You're pretty familiar with this. There's a few new icons on there that are not, on the other ones. One is the scenes, and we got our separate folders here for each of us. Like if we want to, this is to keep it organized. We have, Sean's, he has his, his ones from the last adventure he just ran. Cam has his, that I put in there, his folder for him, just to keep them organized. You can keep them organized if you want by creating a subfolder here, or creating a new scene, which we'll go over creating scenes and all that, or you create a new subfolder. But that's where those are, and any of these on the top can be right-clicked and broken out, to a pop-up window if you want. You have actors tab that you see them, but you'll see more stuff in here. And again, these are all the we got it broken down between players and monsters. And what I would recommend is we have some loose ones in here, but I would recommend if you're going to run an adventure and you're prepping it, just make a new folder for it. You can, put your name and the name of the adventure or just the name of the adventure, and then keep the the NPCs and monsters that you're going to be using in that subfolder, just to keep it organized easier. We're going to want to clean this out every once in a while, because when your world loads up, your server loads up, and you start this game, it's going to load everything in the chat. It's going to load all the scenes, and it's going to load all the actors, all the journal entries, all those things, everything except for compendiums. So keeping this clean and keeping this empty as much as possible will help keeping the server running faster and having less problems. So we have that on the top here. You're going to see, name. If you check that, it's going to have, random name. Check that. It's going to randomize the, like if I drag out this kobold, now it's going to give it a name, right? And it's going to randomize the health. Delete that. If you click that and then make it that way, it's not going to randomize the name and it won't randomize the health. But I keep those two checked usually. And so then we're going to go to items. This is probably not going to be used very much, but it could be. All I have in here right now is a torch. And I'm actually going to configure the permissions that everybody is the owner of it. So that way you could drag it into your character sheet if you need to. So for example, like Merida, inventory, I can just click and drag this into a character sheet. Now she has torches. I can delete, that torch. She, already has some. The other thing that this could be useful for is to say create an item, and we'll just say like note from Captain Morgan. You can come in here and you can, say you're the DM and the players are going to get a note or whatever, and you could type in the note here, whatever it says, and close it. Now you could, right click and say configure permissions, and either give that player, that person, owner, or even observer, I think is good enough. Or you can say all players observer, and then that way they can open it up and read the note. Or you can just say owner, or you could say, Merida got it, so you're gonna drag it in here, put it in there, and it's gonna be. We don't want to put it under weapons. We just want to put it under loot. I don't know if that matters, but I think under here under details. Sorry, I made it as a weapon, and I don't know how I did that one. So let me delete this one here. Yes. Create a new item. Oh, here, weapon, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We're going to put it under loot. Sorry about that. Or backpack. We'll put it under loot and then make it a note. Right? And then now it has a lot less options. You can just come in here and type in the note, note text. And you can give it, if you wanted to give it a pretty picture, you could, or you can just, choose one of these icons here, notes, or come under here and just be like consumables. Oh, where is it? Commodities. There's something in here somewhere. It's going to be maybe tools. Nautical, no. Anyways, there's all kinds of cool things in here that you can use. I would imagine it would be commodities, currency, gems, leather materials, paper. There's all kinds of pictures in here for cool stuff. Treasure, maybe. Wouldn't be under equipment, probably. Equipment? No, that's for like actual equipment. Anyways, we'll just choose this book. You can browse through that if you want to. Select that file, give it a thing. Anyways, so now when you open it up, you can drag it into their things. One better way to do that for a note, or maybe it's an item and it just says something, you could drag it into their inventory, and then they can remember that they have it. You can name that, like gem or skull with red fake gem eyes, whatever. Put it in their inventory. You could do that, but most likely the better way to do it is to use journals entries here. So, and that's the next tab. So the journal entries here. Give me a second. I'm going to actually, because I have journals in the compendium, but I deleted them. So journal entries here, like you can have notes or whatever that you can keep track for yourself. Like this was on that Magic Village for Sale adventure. I just kept a note here, a little like what the Monsters and Quest XP was, so that I could remember how to award XP already. The other one So if you wanted to come in here, you can create a note that basically had the same letter, and then it's easy to say show players. There's text. You can make it have it upload an image if you want an image note, but text and then say show players. It would show players this thing here, right? Um, the other thing for notes that I used is for our Therodon, tragedy at Therodon Outpost, the mine one. I literally copied and pasted the adventure notes into here. I went through and formatted them with, the formatting tools here, paragraph. You can do the different headings and, you know, quote block quotes and stuff like that. I use block quotes for this kind of stuff. You can do that if you want to take the time or just copy and paste it and have it. To me, this was easy for me to run the game from here without having to flip back and forth the screen, but that's up to you. So that's what the journal entries could be used for. You can make a journal entry for and give permissions to players. And with most things here, with even the actors and the journal entries, like say you have a monster that's a pet. Maybe you want to give a pet warg to one of your players and let them control it, or an NPC that you want to let them move around and control. You right click, say configure permissions, and then here you can choose which player or all players, give them observer or owner, um, choose that permission thing. So if you wanted to like make a note, player notes, and create it, and then you give permission owner to them, they can come in there and they can edit the notes because they own it. They can click on this button and start typing. You probably only want to give one player this. Giving everybody these owners, give one player owner, give everyone else observer to it, because if two people are editing it, they're going to overwrite their own stuff. But anyways, I don't need these anymore because I have them backed up in a compendium, which we'll go over later. But those are journal entries. They're useful for me. I use them a lot. You may not if you run everything out of a PDF or a book, or some other kind of like D&D Beyond. If you run your monsters and your adventures from that, then you don't necessarily need that. Roll tables here are basically rollable tables, like you have the random tables that you roll on. Building them is a pain in the butt though, because you've got to come in here and manually create the table, give it a name, add each entry in there. Most likely you're going to use text, but you could use other things. You can even use another roll table. Like you can come in here, document, and say roll table. So if it lands on this one, you roll on another roll table and you give it that table's name. Like that, you would give it the actual name of the roll table. So it's a pain in the butt to set up, especially for a one-shot adventure. It's probably not going to be worth it unless it's something that's going to be used a lot. I don't really see, a longer campaign, or if you have a game system that you're rolling on, like if you wanted to go build a treasure table in there, you could use that. Card stacks are the same way. They're decks of cards, but they're even more complicated because then you have images for the cards and stuff like that. This is sound for music or sounds that you can upload. You can create your own folder for that. That's ambient noise. Like say you wanted to have like wind or something like that. It's better to use the one that's over here in the tools, the ambient sound controls for that map. This is like if you wanted to have like a soundtrack. I think using the Discord bot works a lot better. It keeps Foundry running smoother because it has less resources to deal with. And this is our journals, or I'm sorry, compendiums. Now, compendiums can hold a lot of data that aren't loaded. When the world loads up, I told you that it loads up all the actors and all the scenes. You can store those things in compendiums and they won't load up. So for example, under actors, I have one called Joe's Monsters. that this is the ones that I created for that tragedy at Third and Outpost, because I manually made these monsters. I came in here and put all the information in them manually. It took me a bit of time, like maybe 15, 20 minutes each one. And but I want to save them. I might want to use them another time, so I put them in this compendium, and I deleted them from out here. So I no longer have the folder for them, and I deleted them from out there. Most of these other ones are going to be in this D&D Beyond. I created a separate folder, colored it red so it sticks out. So in here you're going to have like D&D Beyond DDB monsters is going to be, this is direct import from D&D Beyond. It's going to have every monster, even um, even NPCs, named NPCs like Strahd, stuff like that in there. So you know you can drag them into the world. If you use a compendium, especially for the monsters, what you want to do, we kind of went over this, is you want to drag it over here into the monsters folder, or if you just drag it into here, it doesn't matter that much, but you want to put it over there. And then when you want to use that monster on the map, you drag it from there onto the map. The reason you want to do that is if you drag it over here like this, see, it creates a new one for every one that you drag over, and it's just kind of redundant. It takes up more, it duplicates things, right? Um, duplicates them and takes up more spaces. And again, like I said, it loads these actors up, even the ones that are on these scenes. You want to clean these out if you can. So you don't want to, if you're going to use 15 kobolds, you can drag them out from over here. You don't need to drag them out from here. There are some useful compendiums over here, other than the D&D Beyond. There's the D&D Beyond spells. If you want to look up a spell and read the like animate dead, right? You can come in here and read the text of the spell and see, what properties it needs. A drop of blood, it's I don't know what that means. It's 10 feet, one creature. Cast takes 1 minute to cast, or no, it's instantaneous, and it lasts for 1 minute. Um, these aren't too descriptive over here on the properties, so it's sometimes easier to look up in D&D Beyond. But if you wanted to look up, just like if you wanted to know, like, what does the text say specifically, you can look it up pretty quickly in here in the game. There's those are the D&D Beyond ones, but in here there's SRD monsters. There's, I think, under journal entry, rules here, has all the rules. It has like equipment. It has basically the player's handbook, the free version, everything, and the SRD, the open source stuff. So it's going to have like equipment, are going to be in here. It's going to have weapons, stuff like that. You can click on this one and open the weapons. It's going to have like the, how ability checks work, what the blinded condition is. It will state that. Those can be useful in the game. Scenes are basically scenes like, I have mine that is like that mine scene. It's in here. I backed it up, so now I went in here and I deleted it from here. If I want to, I can back up like the King of the Cats. I would just drag this over, and actually what I have to do is right click, I forgot, and say export folder structure to scenes, and say export. Takes a minute, and now it's under there. So now all those scenes are in that compendium, and I could delete those ones. But most of these are actually pretty general use. I was going to put them in the general scenes. So if you're done running an adventure, like say you do the adventure, you get your maps, you get your tokens, all that, you can, let me know. Say, hey, I'm done. Could you clean up my stuff? And I'll either, delete I'll either delete the, stuff that's, you know, like the generic monsters. If you created a monster and you say, hey, or, I'll probably put the scenes in the scenes compendium to back them up just in case we want to reuse them again for something else. But you can let me know, hey, can you clean it up, and I'll do that for you. But that's pretty much the interface in a nutshell. The other thing I want to say under here is Compendium Browser. This is a mod add-on that I added. This one is a quick way to look stuff up. So on the top here, you have Spell Browser, Feat Browser, Item Browser, NPC Browser, and then the settings. But so say you wanted to look up, I don't have any feats or anything in here. You want to look up a spell or an NPC are going to be the most useful ones. It takes a second for them to load them all, and then you can like search for it. So like say we wanted to search, for warg. It's going to search all our compendiums, not warg, for the wargs. There's two of them. One's in the D&D 5e monsters. The other one's in the world.d&d beyond one. So, they're probably the same monster. They just have a different looking token for them. And you can choose that up. Say you wanted to look up a flump, it's in there. Dragons. You can see the different types of dragons that are out here. If it has this icon, it just means that it doesn't have an image for it. I think it will have a token for it. Nope, it doesn't. But that's a search feature that you can use for those compendiums. It doesn't have a journal browser or anything like that, unfortunately. So, but that is the interface in a nutshell. And in the next videos, I'll go over some of those things in more detail.